Whenever you're working in surface mode within 3D Code's Sculpt workspace, you may find on rare occasions some type of error resulting from the usage of live clay or other dynamic tessellation tools. Again, it's more the exception rather than the rule. However, when it does occur, you have a few different tools that you can look to quickly clean it up. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm just going to arbitrarily create a few small holes to help simulate this problem. Reduce my brush size with my bracket keys. And I'm using the poly remove tool to do this very thing. And for what it's worth, you may find this very helpful when you want to create some type of battle damage or something like that. Okay, so I think we are close enough. All right, so there are a few different examples. I'll go ahead and hit apply. You probably won't find the holes to be quite this large, but again, this is just for demonstration purposes. And yeah, it just cut on one side. Okay, we have one tool here for fill holes, and I'm going to turn my wireframe hotkey on, zoom in, and I'm going to click on the boundary. You can see that it highlights it. We could select multiple holes and just click close hole, but I'm going to do one at a time, just to make sure that I'm more or less error free. Okay, so let me turn the wireframe off. And right now, what we're seeing is in a paint room, it has a paint layer. So let's go back. Turn wireframe back on. And I could continue doing that. So that's one way. So let's look at another way. In the adjust section, you have close hole. This one allows you to select the area rather than clicking on a border. Okay, let's go to just a regular tool. And for a large hole like this, which you almost never will see, it'll usually be something very, very small. Something like this, what you can do is in the Shift Action menu, you can select from this menu here, Reconstruct, hold down the Shift key and brush. And that didn't work quite right. This one is always a very rough option though. I highly recommend against it. Now if you're working on a part of a model that's naturally rough as it is, for example maybe a rocky, craggy surface, then that may work just fine. Let me try it again. There you go. A better Reconstruct tool is right here in the adjust section. When you click on that, you can paint select an area. And then let's go ahead and hit apply. Let's turn the wireframe on. Okay, let's turn wireframe back off. Let's go back to the paint room. There we go. Now back here in the sculpt room, I want to close these final holes off, and I want to show the quickest method possible, and that is to simply hit the enter key, and what will happen is 3D Coat is temporarily going to voxelize the object, and then it's going to remesh it on the fly and put you right back into surface mode in just a matter of a few seconds. What it's going to ask you first though is how dense do you want this voxel object to be when it goes through this process. You can look at the bottom in the status bar and see how dense your current model is, and you'll notice 3D Coat tries to bump it up a bit when you're going to voxel mode, because voxels are uniform in nature, whereas in surface mode you have areas that you might be using dynamic tessellation, so it somewhat skews the numbers a bit. Let's hit OK. And it quickly closes it back up. We might have to fill these spots in, but that's easy enough. Just choose the fill tool. The holes you might encounter are typically so small that this quick voxelizing step is all that is required. You might want to switch to anti-bump because anti-bump is real subtle. It doesn't make any drastic changes to the shape. It just tries to do as the name implies. It tries to look for very minor discrepancies in the surface, and it tries to average them out. Let's hold down the shift key. That's it. So that's a quick look at a few different ways you can close holes that you may encounter in rare situations whenever you're using surface mode in 3D Code Sculpt Room. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.